I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. These words by Carl Jung aren't just poetic. They're powerful medicine for a chaotic world. Every day, we get hurt by something small. A judgmental glance, an ignored message, a sarcastic comment, or a missed opportunity. We allow people, situations, and even strangers to shake our inner peace. But what if that could stop forever? Carl Jung believed that the key to true freedom lies not in changing the world, but in changing your relationship with it. You don't need to control people or situations. You need to become immune to them, not by becoming numb, but by becoming self-aware. The truth is harsh. The more fragile your ego, the more easily you're affected. The more deeply you crave approval, the more people can hurt you. You're emotionally enslaved, not by others, but by your own untrained reactions. Jung offers a radical idea. Nothing outside of you has real power unless you grant it that power. That doesn't mean the world is kind. It means your reaction is your responsibility. He teaches us to withdraw the energy we waste on controlling or pleasing others and to redirect it inward to face ourselves. So this isn't about becoming a cold, untouchable rock. It's about becoming a calm, grounded mountain unshaken by passing winds. In the chapters that follow, we'll explore how Jung's deepest ideas, the shadow, the persona, and the path to individuation, can help you reach a state where nobody and nothing can affect you again. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. We live under a powerful illusion, the illusion of control. We believe that if we plan well enough, behave right, look good, or say the perfect words, we can control how others see us, how life unfolds, and how much we suffer. But Carl Jung reminds us of a painful truth. Most of our suffering comes not from what happens, but from our desperate attempts to control it. The modern individual is addicted to control. We try to control our reputation, our relationships, our future, even how others feel about us. We say things like, "I can't let them think I'm weak," or "I have to make sure they like me." But this is ego talking, not the true self. Jung believed that the ego is a small, constructed part of the psyche, the part of us that wants approval, fears rejection, and clings to certainty. It is fragile by nature, and because it's fragile, it constantly tries to manipulate the outside world to protect itself. But here's the problem. The world isn't interested in protecting your ego. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall apart. You will be misunderstood, criticized, and ignored. That's life. Jung's insight was profound. The more we identify with our ego, the more we suffer when life doesn't go our way. It's not the chaos outside that hurts us. It's our inner resistance to it. We want people to behave the way we expect. We want certainty in an uncertain world. And when life doesn't comply, we crumble. Imagine receiving a harsh comment. If you're deeply identified with your ego, you take it personally. You feel attacked. But if you've stepped beyond the ego, if you know who you are without needing external validation, the comment loses its power. This is where Jung's wisdom becomes liberating. He teaches that we cannot control others, but we can control how much of our peace we give away. We cannot prevent chaos, but we can prevent it from infecting our mind. Control, he says, doesn't begin in the outer world, it begins with the inner self. Jung didn't promote withdrawal from society or detachment from emotion. He encouraged integration to face what's unconscious within us so that the outside world no longer triggers hidden fears. He knew that those who try to control everything outside are the most out of control within. So when people say things like, "Don't let it affect you," they're not wrong. But Jung shows us how to actually make that happen, not through force or avoidance, but through deep self-understanding. The moment you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you become free. And in that freedom, no one and nothing can shake you anymore. If the ego is the part of you that tries to look good on the outside, the shadow is the part you try to hide, even from yourself. Carl Jung introduced the concept of the shadow to describe the unconscious side of the human psyche, the parts of ourselves we reject, deny, suppress, or find shameful. It contains the traits we refuse to associate with: anger, envy, arrogance, selfishness, fear, even vulnerability. But here's the twist, and the more you suppress the shadow, the more it controls you. When people say something or do something that triggers you deeply, it's usually because they've touched a part of your own shadow, something unresolved within you. That's why you might overreact to harmless situations, feel irrational jealousy, or hold intense hatred towards someone who hasn't even harmed you. You're not reacting to them. You're reacting to your own denied self being mirrored back at you. Jung warned us, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. In other words, if you don't face your shadow, you'll keep thinking that life is unfair, people are toxic, or the world is out to get you, when in truth, the battlefield is inside you. Let's say you consider yourself a kind person, someone who never gets angry, but underneath, you've repressed years of frustration, jealousy, or rage. One day, someone makes a minor remark, and suddenly, you explode. Where did it come from? The shadow. Jung believed that personal peace begins when we stop projecting our shadow onto others. When you see someone who triggers you, ask, what part of me am I refusing to accept that this person is reflecting? That's where the healing begins. Integration doesn't mean becoming perfect. It means becoming whole. It means acknowledging that you're capable of both love and hate, compassion and cruelty, strength and weakness. Once you accept that, the outside world loses its power to disturb you because there's nothing left to run from within. The people who seem untouchable, unshaken, calm in the face of chaos, they're not superhuman. They've just made peace with their shadow. They no longer fear being exposed, judged, or misunderstood because they've already faced the darkest parts of themselves and survived. Jung said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. In a world obsessed with positivity and image, this is a radical truth. Your peace doesn't come from pretending to be good. It comes from being honest with yourself. Only when you've met your shadow can you walk through the world untouched, because nothing outside can shake a person who has faced everything inside. Carl Jung didn't believe that the goal of life was happiness. He believed the goal was wholeness, and the path to that wholeness is what he called individuation. In the process of becoming who you truly are, beneath all the noise, masks, and inherited beliefs. Most people never begin this journey. They live as fragments, one version of themselves at work, another with family, another on social media. They obey the demands of the ego, chase approval, avoid discomfort, and suppress their inner contradictions. But something always feels off, like they're not fully alive. Individuation is the lifelong process of becoming whole, of integrating the conscious and unconscious parts of yourself into a single, unified identity. It means no longer being at war with yourself. It means aligning your actions with your soul, not with your ego. When you begin to individuate, you stop asking, what do people want me to be? And start asking, who am I really? You stop reacting to every little insult or setback because you've outgrown the need to prove yourself. You no longer seek external validation because your internal compass has taken over. Jung explained that individuation involves confronting the shadow, recognizing the illusions of the persona, and connecting with what he called the self, the deeper, eternal part of you that transcends the ego. The self is not reactive, it is not fragile. It doesn't need praise. It doesn't fear criticism. It simply is. The individuated person is untouchable, not because they've built walls, but because they've built depth. They have stared into their own darkness, embraced their flaws, and returned stronger, clearer, freer. This process doesn't make you perfect. It makes you real. You begin to move through life with clarity and inner authority. You stop performing. You start living. When someone insults you, it barely registers not because you've gone numb, but because you no longer see yourself through their eyes. When plans fall apart, you don't collapse because your peace doesn't depend on external outcomes. When people reject you, you don't shrink because you've already accepted yourself. Jung's individuation isn't a theory. It's a revolution. It's the quiet power of no longer being a puppet of your wounds, your fears, or your image. It's becoming whole. And once you become whole, nobody and nothing can break you. Jung once said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. It's not a slogan. That's a spiritual transformation. And it begins the moment you stop running from yourself. If the shadow is the side of you that you try to hide, the persona is the mask you wear to be accepted. Carl Jung described the persona as the social face we present to the world, a carefully crafted identity designed to win approval, avoid rejection, and play our assigned roles. We all wear masks: the responsible employee, the polite student, the confident influencer, the loyal friend. These masks help us function in society, but they are not us. The problem begins when we forget we're wearing the mask, when we confuse the role with the soul. We begin to identify so deeply with our persona that we fear losing it. We're terrified of being seen as weak, different, wrong, or not enough. And so we live in fear. We curate our image. We suppress our real thoughts. We say yes when we mean no. We perform instead of live. Why? Because we think our worth depends on how others see us. Jung believed that clinging to the persona leads to inner conflict. You can't become your true self while protecting a false one. The more energy you invest in your image, the less you have for authenticity. You become a prisoner of perception, constantly adjusting yourself to fit in, to be liked, to avoid judgment. This is why many people feel deeply anxious, even when nothing is wrong. They've lost touch with their real self. Their entire life is performance, but the audience is never satisfied. No matter how perfect you seem, there will always be someone who disapproves, misunderstands, or criticizes. So what's the solution? Let go of the persona. This doesn't mean being rude, reckless, or completely unfiltered. It means stepping away from the need to be seen a certain way. It means being honest about what you feel, what you value, and who you are, even if it's uncomfortable. When you stop trying to be impressive and start trying to be real, a shift happens. The world loses its power to shape you. People's opinions become interesting, but not controlling. Rejection becomes a redirection, not a crisis. You start choosing authenticity over approval, and that's the moment you become free. Jung warned us, the persona is a system of behavior that is partly dictated by society and partly imposed by the individual in order to make a definite impression upon others. But you don't need to impress anyone. You need to express who you are fully, unapologetically. The irony is, the more you let go of your mask, the more powerful you become. People sense authenticity. They're drawn to those who are not pretending, not performing, not seeking permission to exist. And most importantly, once the mask is gone, your self-worth no longer depends on external applause. You walk through life knowing that you're enough, not because others said so, but because you finally believe it. In a world addicted to movement, noise, and constant validation, stillness is not just rare, it's revolutionary. Carl Jung believed that real power doesn't come from dominating others, from wealth, status, or charisma. It comes from a quiet place within a place untouched by praise or criticism, chaos or calm. He understood that most people are slaves to the outer world, endlessly reacting to events, comments, judgments, and fears. But the one who has mastered inner stillness is no longer a victim of these.